I'm Detail74, and this is Rivals of Aether 2. In case you've never heard of it, Rivals of Aether 1 and 2, both, of course, are indie platform fighters developed by Aether Studios. That is Dan Fernacey and his team. They are sort of the last in a long, proud line of fighting games that have come out of the competitive Smash Bros. Melee tradition, including, obviously, variants on Smash Bros. Like Project M, but also original games like these. Rivals of Aether takes a lot of mechanics straight from older games like Melee and Project M, as well as obviously having its own unique and original things, and it is absolutely fantastic. Rivals of Aether 2 especially is a massive upgrade, and it is a very cool game, and I love it to bits. This video is intended as a submission to the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering Annual 2026, and you might be wondering, how are you going to speedrun a fighting game? Well, I'm not going to go online and play matches, that's for sure. No, in fact, there's a mini game in Rivals of Aether 2 called the Target Test, where every character has their own custom-built level with 10 targets in it that you have to hit as fast as possible. And so these are sort of micro-speedruns of sorts, and I'm going to be doing all of them. Now, just doing all of them wouldn't take all that long, maybe about 3 minutes. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get I'm going to keep doing attempts at all of them until I get an attempt under a given goal time, which I have arbitrarily determined because there's not like a ranking system or anything in the game of like achievements or whatever. For most of them, that's going to be under 10 seconds, but for some of them, it's shorter or longer. So yeah, we're just going to get right into it. I'm heading into the target test menu here. And then on 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to start off with Rano. The fighters are, the rivals are laid out into 4 elements, right? Earth, fire, water, and air. So we're starting off with the water rivals, and then we're doing the air ones, then the earth ones, and then the fire ones. Now Rano here is quite a difficult one. This is a very technical stage compared to the rest of them, where I'm really having to do some very specific movement. So Rano has this really high jump that he can do because he's a frog, where you have to crouch and hold the crouch and then jump. But I've messed it up a couple of times already, and so I just reset the level at that point, right? I just keep doing attempts. This video and this idea for a marathon showcase of the little speedruns like this one is a little bit weird, where, you know, if you're actually doing runs like this, you know, at home, it's like you probably just sit down and you do like a couple tens of attempts over the course of like half an hour, and then you move on. But you maybe only play, you know, 1 or 2 different ones. But obviously that's not what I'm doing. Oh, this looks good. Hold on. Oh, I went too high. No. No, but I'm just sort of here to show basically the idea of the micro speedrun, right? Like this one, where each of these individually is only around 10 seconds long. And the way that you would engage with it normally is you would kind of grind them out. Oh, that's a shame. I was really close to doing it there as well. You'd kind of grind them out over the course of, again, some time each, but instead I'm doing them all back to back, and it's kind of this very strange way of doing it. But it's a good way to sort of showcase how a different way of engaging with speedrunning, basically, right? Because you're doing the same things. You're learning tech or learning routing, or there's a community around it as well, and you can like ask questions and compare strategies and this sort of stuff. And the way that you engage with it is really the same, but just like the runs themselves are so different because they're so short. And we're really talking about getting PBs of like 1/10 of a second, and you're like, yeah, finally, I broke sub 930, and it's just like super silly when you're used to doing full game runs like I am, where it's like, you know, we're talking more like at least an hour in most cases. Oh, wait, hold on. So yeah, at the end there, I have to fire a needle diagonally downwards to hit this little target on the left over there. And then immediately do Rano's up special, the attack version, where he starts spinning around, sending needles in both directions. And I have to do that in the correct position such that some needles will hit the last 2 targets as quickly as possible. And it's quite tricky to line both of those things up at once while you're just falling down and you can't really see very well. Like I said, this is one of the harder levels, not just for that reason. The start of it is also very difficult. But okay, so you sort of see the idea there of what I'm going for. But yeah, this is a really fun minigame. It's, you know, you really get to, all of the levels are, again, custom built to work for their character and to sort of showcase, you know, their character's strengths in terms of what shapes they're able to make with their hitboxes, basically, right? And so it's a really cool way to get used to Rivals characters better if you're interested in playing the game itself, like the fighting game aspect of it. But it's also genuinely a really fun speedrun because there's sort of these different ways to play, right? Oh, wait. Where like doing the Rano level here is very different from doing the Loxodon level or the Claren level or whatever, because you're just fundamentally a different character. Now, of course, that it's less of a pronounced difference maybe than if you were to say like speedrun, I don't know, Nightmare in Dreamland or Meta Nightmare, right? Where you're playing either as Kirby or Meta Knight, for example, in that game, or maybe, I don't know, name your game of choice that you like that has multiple playable characters, right? I mean, there's 1,000. It's not as pronounced of a difference because it's not as sustained, right? You're not playing as either Rano or Claren for an hour straight, but it is still different, and so that is still very cool. Oh, that was so close. So yeah, for Rano, I'm trying to hit under 10 seconds. It's taking me quite a while here, unfortunately, but that's all right. We've got plenty of time. Some of the later ones I'll do a little bit better, don't worry. This is a little bit of an embarrassing display at the moment, but I remember this run, and it does get pretty good towards the end as well. Which unfortunately actually means we get to see much less of the game, right? Because if I just hit a goal time immediately, I'm just going to move on. But that's fine. We can sort of see the ones that I struggle with a little bit more. Yeah, Rivals has a lot of very deep mechanics. It's a very sort of complicated game where you really have to like learn slowly over time everything that's going on. But one of the core things that you're going to see me do a lot is wave dashing or wave landing, depending on context. Whoa, wait, oh. So that was really close. You can see there, I did hit the other two, but I just missed the needle on the other one. No, so wave dashing, in case you're not familiar with again, maybe Smash Brothers Melee or other games that have it. There we go, nice. Look at that, sub 9 even. So that was a really good run, right? But it just took a while for me to get it. So we're moving on to Arcane now. But just to continue on my train of thought, wave dashing is a mechanic where if you air dodge into the ground, then your character gets sort of a burst of movement and you can kind of slide around a little bit, and it's very fast. It's a faster way to move a very small distance, and a more controlled way also to move a very small distance than just simply taking a couple steps would be. If you're going over longer distances, you'd rather just run because that will get you there sooner at that point. But for very short distances, it's very nice. And it's also a way to sort of easily land on a ledge that's slightly out of reach, or to easily land on a platform that you've slightly overshot, where you really want to be standing on the platform, but you're above it at this point. Well, then you can just air dodge directly down onto it. And there you go. That was Arcane done as well. So moving on to Daedalus, I believe this one took me a while as well. The water element here really kicked my butt on this run, unfortunately, but that's all right. They're also some of the harder ones, which is why we're starting here. For Daedalus, I'm starting off by side B'ing the other way, and then doing a wave dash, immediately jump down, immediately side B again, doing some Daedalus specific tech, and then trying not to fall off the platform like I did just there. This is tough, especially when it's a character I don't actually play in the game itself. But yeah. What I was saying was wave dashing is very important for the actual playing Rivals, but it's also very, very important for the speedruns because it's just a really fast way to put yourself exactly on the part of the floor that you need to be. And since some of these levels, when you start to get good at them, they can get really, really precise. That kind of fast and easy, or relatively easy, positioning tool is naturally very, very useful. We're going to be doing that a lot. Here in the Daedalus stage, I'm using it right at the start, after the first Icicles attack, just to get myself some backward speed more quickly than I would if I fully turned around and started running. I can just wave dash backwards instead to get off the platform more quickly, but I do have to then also jump, because otherwise I'll grab the ledge like I did just there, and that's not particularly fast. So there's a lot of stuff like that. For example, in the Rano stage that we were stuck on for a bit earlier, it starts off with a wave dash as well, where I immediately run off of a ledge and then wave land on the next one that's slightly lower. if I just simply ran off the first ledge, I would grab the ledge of the other platform and then have to actually jump back onto the platform from the ledge, which takes a while, and I'd much rather just quickly land on it by doing a wave dash, or again, really a wave land. So that sort of thing is going to come up a lot, and if you ever see a character just sort of like flash and then immediately be standing on the ground, that's probably a wave dash or a wave land. Aether here is actually a pretty interesting stage. There's a really cool advanced strat here where there's two super specific positions at the bottom of the stage here on the left platform, where if you side B to the left from there, that is to say the icicles attack, you can actually hit the target all the way in the top left up there with your icicles attack by perfectly weaving in between the platforms above it. I have gotten it before. My Aether PB does use it, but it's so incredibly precise that I'm not going for it here in this like back-to-back setting where I'm just trying to sort of get through everything. Moving on to Slade, this is a really fun one where we throw that, you can hear it, we throw that shuriken all the way to the left side to hit the far away target so that we don't have to actually walk all the way over there. And I did that more or less perfectly the first time around, so that's great. We can just move on immediately. Abza here is very difficult. This is one of the harder levels here, just in general. Abza is a very different character from most in terms of movement. The way that her double jump works is just a little bit different, where it's got this whole start up to it, and then she sort of swoops up really high. But it's not as instant, right? It's kind of this like gradual rise. And so you really have to know what you're doing on Abza to be able to just like move around like a normal person. And I don't play this character, so it takes me a little second to sort of get back into the groove of things here. But that's something you'll see a lot in this showcase, you know, playing the game like this, because I'm switching between all of these different characters, and they do have a lot of pretty significant differences just in the way that they move around. That like, you know, I'm gonna need a couple of attempts to sort of get my groove back on Abza or on Aether or whoever before actually being able to sort of go. And there we go. That was sweet. It was very fast. I think I PB'd on that actually. No, not quite. Oh well. Moving on to Fleet. I remember this. I remember this Fleet attempt. Let's just see this unfold real quick. Very far from perfect if you're actually grinding this out, but I was very happy to hit that first try because that's one of the harder ones. I really struggle to get that below 10 seconds consistently. It's one that I just haven't figured out yet. Like, I don't really... If I start an attempt and I do the first few targets, I couldn't tell you what the end time might be. I don't have a feel for that one yet. Same exact thing with Raster here, and I also got that one first try. So we can just move on now. Water and air are broadly the harder ones, at least for me. Those are the characters that I've been struggling with the most. So I'm very happy to just have gotten that out of the way very quickly. Crag here, we also do a lot of wave landing and wave dashing, so right at the start, I'm gonna just smack this, then drop down, then hit this, hit cancel it, wave land on the platform, wave land on the other platform, and then do another side B that I'm also going to jump cancel after the hit, which is it's just tech that Crag has access to. If he hits something with the rolling attack, then you can jump out of it, but you can't normally do that. But so that's very fast to get right there, right, to get over to that platform. But of course, if you miss all the other targets, it still doesn't really avail you. But yeah, all the tech that I'm doing here in the target tests in order to go faster is also all tech that people do in, you know, in the matches, in the game itself, to eke out little advantages over their opponents. Nice, there we go, that's Crag. So it's a really cool sort of showcase, again, of like the tech and the framework, the movement framework of Rivals in a totally different context, right? And engaging with it in a totally different way, as well as sort of engaging with speedrunning itself and the idea of like trying to go as fast as possible in a video game in a slightly different way as well, just because it's so short and so precise. So it's a really fun way to sort of, yeah, to engage with the hobby and the art form of speedrunning and of playing a fighting game in a different way than you normally would. It's been a very cool marriage, I guess, of the two would be the word, right? You're really combining bits and pieces of both, or things that really belong to both. 998, wow. Hey, that's sub 10, we'll take that. We will take that. The maple one, actually, just there, that route that I was going through the level just now, that was fully just developed by myself. Maple is one of the only characters for whom I've not actually gone and checked out what other people, and especially people who are better at this than me, what they do for that level, because I had an idea when I started doing it, and I really wanted to see how far I could take it and if I could get sub 10 with just like my own silly little strat that's probably suboptimal. And as it turns out, I could. I did the same thing for Olympia actually as well. So those are both just like fully off my own brain, which probably means that they're multiple seconds slower than the record, but that's fine. The creative expression part of this as well, where it's like, obviously you can engage with it sort of at a really small scale and say like, well, I want to get the best possible time and it's going to matter of like milliseconds here and there. And then you might want to engage with like other people's strats and sort of figuring out where you can squeeze out just a little bit more. But a different way to engage with it also is to sort of forget a little bit about what other people are doing and just try it and sort of just mess around and really try to engage sort of, again, with the creative aspect of it, not the competitive aspect of like trying to figure out, you know, what routes could I take? Or like, if I have to go to the left side first, I just put that restriction on myself. What's the fastest I can do it then instead of going to the right side first? For instance, right, there's a lot of room here to sort of make your own speedrun, make your own challenge with these relatively simple levels. You could say, for example, oh, well, we'll do the fleet level without using any projectiles. And she's a projectile-based character, right? And the level is built around that. That sort of stuff. Like, you could do a lot of cute things to sort of challenge yourself in this game, or in this minigame. And through doing that, learn a lot about the way that the game works. And then, you know, the physics, how they feel, and how the movement feels, and what kind of options you have access to do certain things. And again, all of that can teach you, you know, how to play the game itself, the fighting game, better. But also, it's just a fun sort of exercise in video games more generally, I guess. It's hard to put into words, but I've been really enjoying doing the target test and really like pushing myself a little bit on it. Lorena here, this is actually my personal favorite character to play in general. She has a steel chair and she's like wrestler themed. She's absolutely fantastic. Oh, wait. Oh no. That last or second to last target I'm supposed to grab with up air attack instead of back air, because that way I can throw it into the last one and hit them both at the same time. But yeah, I did it the wrong direction. That's really sad. Wait, there we go. Nice. All right, that's sub 7, which is the goal for Lorena here. That was one of the ones where I've actually lowered the goal time a bit to make it a bit harder on myself because 10 seconds was too easy. Forsburn here is actually too hard to get under 10 seconds. The world record for this isn't under 10 seconds. This level is just really big and long. So I'm only actually aiming for under 15, which is hard enough for me. It's looking pretty good, though. Hold on. Hit that one. Wave dash. Boink. Nice! Look at that. All right. Getting through it. Absolutely getting through it. Loxodon, this is a neat one. So Lox is the sort of the big heavy guy. This is kind of like your Ganondorf for Rivals 2. He's got a big stupid axe and he's combo food, but he's also really strong. You know, that's the vibe here. And so there's a target down there that I'm using the magma ball to hit while it's off screen, and then I'm just using the big sweeping axe to sort of hit things from as far away as possible so that I don't have to travel very far because Lox isn't very fast. And then we just... That was almost right. I was supposed to hit the first target on the way down instead of having to jump again. I think if I fix that, I'll probably be able to get this under 10 seconds here. Not like that, though. So yeah, at the start of this level, actually, I do a tiny little bit of tech as well called a baby dash, where if you input left or right while just standing still on the ground for just the tiniest little bit, I don't know if it's strictly speaking 1 frame, probably not, but just for a tiny little bit, then your character will move forwards, but they won't actually enter the walking or running animations, really. And so you get to kind of just take a tiny little step very, very fast and very, very safely, which is a great way to quickly turn around and move a short distance at the same time, which is great if I want to set up the angle for that initial magma ball on the target down there. Anyway, that was Zetterburn. We're just not even going to talk about that. So we're already on to the last character, by the way. We've kind of been blazing through it. This is Claren. This is another character I really like to play. And in terms of all of the goals that I've set myself, this one's easily the hardest overall. Sub 10 seconds on Claren is actually within like a second and a half of the record. I think, if I remember correctly. And it involves doing some very precise sword attacks, as well as a little bit of difficult tech right at the start, where I need to grab onto this ledge and then initiate a ledge jump, but immediately cancel it into a wave dash onto the level, because that's a way faster way to get back on the ground. And I'm so much faster on the ground than in the air that it's just never worth it to try to jump over this. So I need to hit that right at the start in order to even have a chance of getting below 10 seconds. And then I still need to do all the really precise sword hits and everything. And it's just very, very difficult. It also involves a little bit of, it's not really tech, but I have to conserve all of my forward speed right there. Like you saw, I couldn't quite reach that target all the way on the left because I just didn't have the speed going to actually get close enough to it, unlike just there. Oh, wait. We're in business here? Oh, shouldn't have said anything. Commentator's curse or something. Does the commentator's curse travel back in time? Anyway. Oh. Dang it. So close. So yeah, I need to hit all of those sort of middle targets just there here at the bottom with the same move, that little spinny attack, the neutral air, in order to actually do it fast enough to get over to the right side at the same time and then actually do it all under 10 seconds. It has to be that move. All of my other moves are too laggy or have really awkward hitboxes to where I couldn't chain them together properly or whatever, and it just wouldn't work. But here we go. And then the big yeet. Yeah! Look at that. There we are. So yeah, that's all of the currently available target test minigames. More rivals will be added over time. This is me. You can see LiveSplit sort of freaking out at the bottom here. This is me changing my LiveSplit layout so that I can take a screenshot for the PSG Discord. It'll go back to normal in a minute, don't worry. But yeah, currently there's 16 characters here, 4 fire, 4 water, 3 air, and 5 earth characters at the moment. But there will be more with time. At least 4 more, but very likely more, I should think. At least, yeah, that's my guess. But strictly speaking, we don't know that. But yeah, it's, again, I really can't recommend Rivals enough, and Rivals 2 especially. It's really a tremendous game. If you're at all into Smash Brothers or any other fighting game, but especially if you're into sort of the platform fighters, Smash Brothers, Brawlhalla, that sort of thing, give Rivals a go. It's great. It's really genuinely very good. And just recently they added a bunch of casual stuff, bigger casual stages with funny mechanics and items to play with that cause a bunch of chaos and everything. So even if you're not into the sort of competitive stuff, because the game is broadly, competitively minded and aimed at a competitive audience, but even if you're not into that sort of thing, they just now actually sort of added the second half of the game, as it were, right? Added all the casual modes and extra minigames and stuff, and there will be more of that coming in the future as well. So there's plenty to enjoy here just as a game to play with your friends, even if you're not, a tournament grinder or an online grinder like I am. It's just, yeah, it's a good time. I do highly recommend Rivals. I honestly don't play it enough. I should play it more. But yeah, it's just a really good game, and it's got this sort of weird speedrun potential as well, where it's got the mini games that you can actually use to engage with it that way as well. Again, it's something very, very different from your usual speedruns. I wasn't quite sure, how to talk about it, what to talk about, how much to talk about the tech versus how much to talk about sort of the speedrunning design of it, I guess, right? Or the way that I've set it up here with this like little showcase. I wasn't sure, what to talk about because it's so weird, it's so unusual. But it is very fun. I do also really recommend the target test minigame and grinding it out. Again, it's been a very fun struggle is the way that I'll put it. Sometimes it's a little frustrating, but then the fun part is you get to do just like attempt on attempt on attempt on attempt because they're so short. And it's like an attempt dies, okay, fine, whatever, do the next one. Whereas, maybe bigger speed games, you're like, well, my attempt died 2 hours into a stupid trick. I don't have time to go again. Guess I'll just go to bed or whatever, right? Or go to work. Whereas with this, it's like, well, you got half an hour? All right. That's like 1,000 attempts, right? Like that's longer than you'll probably actually ever want to do it for anyway. So it's a cool sort of change of pace, I guess, as a speedrunner to do this sort of thing. I don't know. It's just been really fun. This has been sort of a very rambly kind of a video. Like I said, I didn't really know what to do with it, and I also don't have all that much time, so I didn't feel like preparing too much for it. But it's a good time, and yeah, I think that's just about all I have to say. I really hope this gets in. I've already been talking to some people at BSG about it. It'd be really fun to show this off. I already have like comms lined up and stuff. Well, depending on scheduling, right? Of course, always. But ideally, I have everything sort of already going for me, right? People are a little bit excited, and I certainly am. So I really hope it gets in. But excuse me. Of course, if it doesn't, you know, no sweat. What do you do? But yeah, I highly recommend Rivals of Aether 2. If you haven't played it, it's great. And there's really never been a better time to start playing it, because they just added all the casual stuff. I highly recommend, if you like Rivals 2, to try the target test minigame if you haven't. It's fun. You might like it more than you think. I sure did. And I highly recommend trying something new every once in a while. Something different. As a speedrunner, but also in general. It's good. Again, you might enjoy it more than you think. Alright, that's me out.